So for some of you that have skipped ahead, this is probably where you're coming into the video. Setting up the databases. All right, let's get going. We'll do this in sections, and the first section is going to be actually creating the databases. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create 3 databases. I'm going to create one for the player stats, one for the level 1 stats, and one for the level 2 stats. Let me caveat this for just a second. When I was designing the game that I'm working on, I have a lot of items in my levels, and I have a bunch of levels. And I thought the best way to organize this is to have a separate database per level, and a separate database for the character, so that the character can have his own database, the level has their own database, and when you load into a level, you load that database, and everything is fine. I had a chance to speak with Bruno about this. I asked his opinion about it, and I will tell you guys that there are many ways to do a thing, right? It's perfectly fine. Whatever works for your game, that's the way you should use. But when Bruno says something, he's the person who knows the most about the database system, this particular database system on the planet. He coded it. So when he says something, you should take him seriously. So I asked him about this, and he suggested that in my particular case, that I use one database for the character, like I was going to do, but I just use one database for all the levels, instead of using a separate database for each level. And that is probably what I'm going to do for my game. But I started to set it up this way, so I'm going to show you this way, guys. This works. It's perfectly valid. If you would prefer to do it this way, that's it. You know, again, whatever works for your particular game. If you just want to use one database for the character and all the stuff in your game, if that's all you need, perfectly fine. For me, I have a lot of things in my game that I want to keep track of, and I just wanted a way to organize it, and I thought a separate database per level would do that best. But given what Bruno told me about an alternate way to do that, I'm probably going to go with what he said, but I'm going to show you the multiple database method. You can use whatever you want. Okay, so with that caveat out of the way, let's go ahead and set this up. So I'm going to go back to my content, and I'm going to make a new folder, and we're going to call this, hang on a second, let me make sure I'm consistent. As always, I like to stay consistent with what I'm doing. Come on, mouse. My mouse is being a pain. Let's call this databases. Okay. So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to Synaptech, and this is the name of Bruno's company, his business. So that's why it's called Synaptech. And I'm going to create an SQL database, and I'm going to call it a very specific name, DB underscore level underscore 01. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing twice more. Oh, wrong thing. DB underscore level underscore 02. That's going to be the database for level 2. And then I'm going to create another one, and this one really doesn't matter what the name is, but I'm just going to call it character stats. Boom. Okay. So we've got our 3 databases. Now, we need to put these somewhere. I'm going to put them into the game mode, I believe is where I put them. I'm almost positive. Yes, I did. Okay, so we're going to put them in the game mode. To do this, actually, we need a game mode. I don't think we have one, do we? Let me just double check. Game mode, third-person game mode. Oh, we do have one. Is that what I used? It is what I used. Okay, that's fine. Let's just go into the settings, the project settings, and make sure under maps and modes that we are in fact using the third-person game mode. We are. So that's fine. Let's just make sure in level 1, if we go to, is it under world settings? I always forget. The game mode override, I like to set this as well. It's probably not necessary, but I've had issues with it before where it doesn't work right unless I do that. It probably was something that I was doing, but just to be on the safe side, I like to set my levels, save selected, to use the same game mode, third-person game mode. So just like that. And there you go. Okay. So third-person game mode is now the game mode that we are using. Remember, that gets destroyed and reloaded whenever you use or whenever you change levels. That is not persistent. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's not like game instance. Game instance and game mode are two different things. Game instance is persistent. Okay, so let's go into that that blueprint. What did I say it was? Third person game mode. Let's drag that in. Let's open the full blueprint editor. I hate when it does that. I don't hate it. I just, I always like to pull this up. We're going to add a variable. And I'm going to call this db underscore level underscore 01. And I'm going to change it to, we're going to type in here SQL. What did I call this? Sorry guys, just a second. Let me make sure I know what I'm doing. SQLite. What the effing frack is it? Oh, it should be there. Oh. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, sorry. Yes, before we can actually set up the database, because it's not here, right? Why would it be? I'm forgetting to do a thing. So go to class settings. We're going to go to interfaces. We're going to add in SQL data as an interface. Okay, compile and save. Now I can go to DP level 1. I can set this to SQLite. And this is an object reference. There you go. That's what we want. Okay, we will go ahead and do that again. DB level 02. And actually I'm going to do it a third time for the DB character. Okay, and to do this, all I'm going to do is pull this down. Oh, I think I have to compile. Yep, there you go. It's like, why is my database not showing up? So let's go to level 1. We'll grab the level 1 database. Actually, we could just do it from there. There's no need to go back and forth. That's just silly. So this is DB level 1. Make sure you set these up properly. This is DB level 2. So that's right, and this is DB character. Character stats. Okay, compile, save. There you go. That's all you need to do. You now have instances of your database, or you have an object reference to your databases. You actually don't need to instantiate those. It's just a file on the disk. It eventually becomes part of your pack file when you pack up the thing, the game. Okay. Okay, guys. We are commonly going to want to get these databases from all over the place. From the coins, the doorways, the character. We need to grab them quite a lot, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create in my blueprints, I'm going to create another interface. So we can do that easily. So BPI third person game mode. I like to name my interfaces the same as the blueprint that they're going to use, unless it's an interface that uses a lot of different blueprints. Like if I were to make a like a pick-upable interface, that would go with lots of things. In this case, it would only go with coins. But if I were to have statues or I don't know, whatever, crowns, stuff in my game that I want to pick up, obviously that would apply to more than one blueprint. But if it's only going to apply to one blueprint, I tend to name them the same. That's just how I do it. You are not required to do anything similar if you do not like to. So I'm going to make two functions here, get level database, and I'm going to do another one called get character database. Okay. Both of these, let's start with the character one first, because that one's the easier of the two. It's going to need an output. It needs to output the character database. So let's just call that character database. And that's going to be of type SQLite object reference. Okay. That's all we need to do there. And in the level database, I'm actually going to do an input and an output. So the input is going to be of type string, and I'm going to call this level name. Okay. And the output is going to be of type, again, SQLite object reference. And I'm just going to call this level database. Okay, that's all we need to do for that. So that's your interface. In the third-person game mode, we'll go to class settings, and we will set this. Oh, we've already got it. Okay. Oh, we've got the SQL database interface. That's what we've got. Did I do that here? Let me just double check something here, guys. I'm just checking something here, guys. Okay, my bad. I didn't actually need a interface to the database to make these of type SQLite. Okay, so because I didn't do it in my my reference thing, so I found it odd that for some reason it worked over here. But so yeah, I don't need that interface, so we won't implement it there. It's not necessary. But what we do need is to implement the BPI third-person game mode interface. Okay, this is what I want. We'll start off with get character database, because again, this is the easier of the two. So I'll just double-click on that. And all we need to do is return the character database. Very, very simple. Get the character database, drop him in here. Actually, didn't need to take this all the way over there. Compile, save, done. Okay, let's work on the other one. The level database. This is a little bit more tricky. Not much more tricky, but it's a little more tricky. So this one I actually do need to get some space. All right, we want to return the database that corresponds to the level that we're on. So what we're going to do, we've got an input of level name, right? So this is actually not really that complicated. It's just a little bit branchy. So what we're going to do, I wonder if I could simplify that. I'm thinking about something here, guys. Get level name exists already. Interesting. I wonder if I can get rid of that input. And so now I'm going off script because I didn't do this way in the other one. But if I do this here, then I don't have to do it everywhere else that I did it, which is better. Let's find out. I hope I don't end up regretting this, but if this is equal to level, now this is where I'm hard coding something in. Probably not the best idea, but you know what? It's all good. I'll hold down the B key and hit the left mouse button to use that shortcut. Okay. We'll get another equal string. Level 02. There's probably, like I say, there's probably a better way to do that. I'll do another branch. Come on, give me my branch. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. We're grabbing the name of the level that's currently loaded. If the level is equal to level 1, and that's true, what we want to do is return db level 01, right? Unfortunately, you can't do this. Like I can't put two of these in there. Oh yeah, that's fine, which I do want to do, but not just yet. What I can't do is put them in here. So I can't do this and put that in there and level 2 and put that in there. That doesn't work. Okay, so what I need to do is throw in another variable. The variable is going to be called return database, and I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to put a set in here, and this is what I'm going to return here in my return node. Okay, so let me just make sure I know what I'm doing. This is going to be level 1. So if we're in level 1, we are going to set the return database to the database level 1 and return that as our return node. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Turn that off for right now. Okay. I'm going to copy this node. Same thing for level 2. Like such, and we're going to drop that in there. Okay? Like such. So all that's fine. If this is true, we're going to go here. So, hello, what are we doing? Go in there. So what happens, how do we cook these together? Well, this is pretty simple. If we get the level database and it's not equal to level 1, we're going to go from the false branch back into this one. So if you have multiple levels, like I'm going to, and I'll drop this condition in, like even more than 2, you can just keep dropping them down and dropping in your database. So basically, if it's level 1, it goes here. If it's level 2, it goes here. It'll check level 1 first. If it's false, it'll go down to check level 2, and so on and so forth. You can keep going down as far as you want. So you can have as many levels as you like. And ultimately, it will return the proper database. Okay. The last thing we need to do is send the return database to the return node, and there you go. That should compile and save. The reason I have to do that, again, is because I can't put 2 things in here, right? It doesn't work. So you have to return like its own reference. We've set return database here, and then we return the reference back over here. So that should work, I hope. So, okay, so that's how you get your level database. For whatever level you're on, that'll return the level, the database of the level that you're on. Okay, so we've got that function all set up. Whew, what's next? All right, it is time, I think, to start thinking about putting this together. So, what do we do? How do we do this? We have our databases set up and ready to go. I mean, not really, but we've got them existing. So I've got a lot of stuff in here. Let's turn some of this stuff off. We don't need the in-game UI. I'll turn off the interfaces for now. Shouldn't need those. I will need the coin in the doorway, probably the third-person character in the third-person game mode, although maybe not. We might be done with the game mode. Let me just take a look. Oh yeah, we will need that later on. Okay. All right. Let's start with the coins. So let's drop into coins. Coins have a coin value, which I don't care about. But I want to save their existence state, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new variable And I'm going to call this variable available, which is going to be, and I will make it a Boolean. And I'll compile that, and I'm going to set it to true initially. So all the coins exist and are true, right? The next thing I'm going to do, there's 3 things that have to happen in order for you to save a variable to a database. Number 1, besides the variable existing, obviously, you must set the tag save game, which is, if it's going to be hidden. So here's what you have initially. Pull this little arrow down. Down here you have save game. Go ahead and click that. So that's going to tell the database program that this is a variable that I want to save to the database. Okay. The second thing that has to happen is the database itself has to have a corresponding entry point or entry for that item. Now we're going to put this, we've got these in level 1, so I'm going to do this level 1. So this is our database. It's empty at the moment. You can refresh this and there's nothing in here. I'm going to add a column. The type has to match. Now remember, we made a Boolean and the name has to match. And what did I call it? Available. So I'm just going to grab this and copy it, so just to make sure I don't make any spelling mistakes. Paste that in. And that's it. That's really all you have to do for the database. I'm also going to do this in level 2. Same exact thing. So I'm going to add a column. We're going to make it a Boolean. And I'm going to paste in the name of the variable that I want to save. So I'm going to save that. We're going to save that. I think I have to, I'm not 100% positive about this. You might have to do this, rebuild the database. Although it deletes all your data, so I'm not so sure about that. Doesn't hurt to do it unless you want to keep your data, which I don't really care about right now. So anyway, we'll save that. We'll save that. Okay. Now, if we run, let's go through here. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go to the next level. Now you might think, is that all there is to it? No, that is definitely not all there is to it. I wish, but there's a little more involved in that. Not super much involved with that, but a little bit. Okay, we have to hook the class up to the databases. There are 2 ways to do this. I'm going to show you both ways. I'll show you the more complicated way first, and then the little bit easier way second. Okay, they both work, and there are times when you're going to have to use both of them. Let me grab one of them so I know what I'm doing. Okay, so in order for this to know that it's connected to a database, what we have to do is come into class settings, and this is the first way to do it. We're going to add an interface, and we're going to say SQL Lite data. Okay, compile and save. Then what you have to do is you have to implement 3 events. So if I come into here, we need to implement on prepare to save. Oh yeah, sorry, it's an event, so I can't do it that way. On prepare to save. There's another event on prepare to load. I'm going to give myself some room on that one because that's a little bit long. And a third one, event on load data progress. You need these 3 events. Okay? And we need to implement these in every single class that's going to use the database, if you do it the way that we're about to do it. And I'm going to show you, this is the harder way, but there is times when you need to do it this way. So you need to know how to do this. So first I'm going to put a switch on. Let me just say, guys, you don't really need to know this stuff. You can do this by rote, basically. Save mode. Switch on ESQL save mode, where the mode goes into selection. like such. So that's going to give you either an insert or an update. Grab your insert, go here. We're going to call this generate SQL from actor insert. And we're going to do another one, generate SQL from actor update. Okay. What we're basically doing here is we're creating some SQL code. If the entry exists already, it's going to update that entry. If the entry doesn't exist, it's going to insert it. I think that's how that works. We'll put the actors and targets in just a bit. Let's finish off the rest of this. So add command to queue, save. And this is the same for both of them. So I'm going to copy and paste that down. You need two different nodes. You can't use the same node because of the return value. So we'll drop the return value into there. We'll drop the return value into there. There's your SQL. So that just leaves these input pins. The first thing we need to work in is get a reference to self. Let's give ourselves a little bit more room here. That's going to be your actor. And then finally, you just need the database, which is this guy right here. And I'm going to throw that into the target of all four of these. This is the most complex of the three that you have to implement, but it's a little messy, but really you don't have to look at it. It's just, really, if I was you guys, I'd do it once and then copy paste it over and over again. You really almost don't even need to understand this. It's just, you have to have it. It's not bad to understand what's going on, because one of the things you can do with this is actually customize it for the purposes of your particular game. But yeah. Okay, let's talk about on prepare to load. We're going to go in here and say generate SQL from actor, select. Again, the database is going to be the database, the target, and the self node is going to be your actor, like such. And then you're going to do, boom, we're going to do add command to queue load. And again, your return value, and again, the database is going to be your target. I'm not even going to bother to make that clean. I'm just going to set them up like such. And then finally this guy, which is probably the easiest of them all, unpack data from queue actor. Now you notice I'm using actors for all these because that's basically what I'm going to be using. If you're going to be storing objects or things that are not actors, then you'll have to implement the other ones, like the objects and all that stuff. But for the most part, you're really just going to be doing actors. And that's all there is to that one. Okay, so compile, save, there you go. So those are what you need, those three events. In fact, I'm going to take them down here and put them here. We could comment them. I'm not going to bother. Okay, so is that it? Are we done? Do we need to do anything else? Let's find out. I'm going to, spoiler alert, yes, we do need to do something else. But don't worry, we're actually almost done. All right, so we've grabbed all of our coins. You can see the coins have come back. But, and actually, let's take a look at our, oh, you know what? Let's turn on play. I have found, guys, that if you want to look at the database directly, it's really best to have the game running while you do it. Otherwise, it's not going to give you accurate information. So you can see nothing has saved. This is still empty. Database 2, same thing. What's going on? Why has nothing saved? Well, because we didn't tell it to save. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. What we got to do is come into the coins. So we've hit the component. Now we need to tell the coins to actually save to the database when we hit this thing, right? So this is not that hard. All right. So let's see where we're at here. We did the add coins, and then we destroyed. This. Okay, right. I'm going to disconnect this for just a moment. Grab these two things and pull them out, so give myself a little bit of room. First things first. We added the coins. We're about to destroy the actor, so the first thing I want to do is come over here and, whoops, well, actually, no, let's not do it that way. Let's close this down. Let's grab the available Boolean, and we're going to set him to false. So he's no longer available. That's the first step. Okay. Then I'm going to get the level database. Now this is where I've made a change. So let's come out here and say get level database. And I'm no longer using the level name, but we do need a target. And this is coming from the third person game mode. So we can say, come over here and say get game mode and drop that in here. And just why is that not working? Oh, I see the problem is. Get level database. We need the message, not that. My bad. Oops. Okay, so the game mode is your target. And what I was doing right here, guys, was this is where I was saying get current level name and plugging that into here. But the way I've got this set up right now, I don't need that. I shouldn't need that. I guess we'll find out. Okay, so that takes care of that. From there, what you want to say is, let's pull this out here, drop this over here and say immediate command save actor. Okay, targets the database. The actor is, of course, self. Boom. In there. Okay. And then from there, you just do that, and that'll work fine. You can actually, I could get rid of this and do the same reference, but whatever, it's fine the way it is. Okay, that should work. Okay, we've told it to save. Now let me talk about the immediate command for a minute. If you're doing a multiplayer game, you probably shouldn't use immediate commands like that. You can get into a situation where you lock up your database if two players happen to do the same thing at the same time, or try to access the same thing at the same time. But in a single player game like I have, I've heard a statistic that the database should be able to be written to about 50,000 times a second. So unless your player is incredibly fast, you should never get into a case where that's going to happen. You know, it is a little bit risky, but we'll see. There's a way to do it otherwise, and I may try it out. I haven't done it yet, but we can queue it, and we'll try that at the end and see if how that works out. But let's go ahead and play. Now, what did I took that in coin. Is everything fine here? I think everything's fine here. Let's go ahead and play and see what happens. Boom, 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 boom. Come over here. Let's grab all these. You notice that we've lost the player character variable, but that's fine. And they're back. Now, why are they back? Well, let's find out. No, I know why they're back, but let's take a look at the database. Let's go ahead and refresh, and I don't see it in here. Why not? Uh-oh. Now I was expecting to see data. Okay, hang on a second. Somewhere I screwed something up. Oh, we've got an error. Let's find out what the error is. What is the error? Show the message log. Trying to read property, get level database, blueprint function, access none, trying to read. Okay. Okay, there we go. Sorry guys, I think I screwed something up. I'm not sure what I had there. I'll look in, where'd it go? So I'll leave in what I did, even though I wasn't really saying anything. I think I had this wrong. The current level name was screwed up. Since for whatever, this is still not right. Level 2 is not going to work. I think I might have messed up that node, level 02. If this thing falls out to the false case, then you've got a crash condition here. You probably should check for that just to make sure that you're not going to crash the game. I'm not going to stress over it at the moment. All right, let's go ahead and play that, and let's take a look. So we got the 5 coins. Let's hit escape to, well, now that I take that back. So the 5 coins are obviously still there, but let me pull open the database, and let's hopefully this is here. And there you go. Look at that, guys. So there you go. They have officially saved to the database. They're labeled, but the ID names, which is coin 3, coin 2, coin _2, coin 5, and coin 4. You don't have to worry about the ID numbers. They're more or less going to correspond to the name of the coins themselves, but not always. It just really kind of depends. If I play this again and I hit these again, you can see there's a little bit of jerkiness right there. And then let's take a look at our database again. Let's refresh this. It named them the same thing. It'll name itself kind of on its own thing. You don't need to really worry too much about it. It knows what it's doing. And you can see they're all false. If we go ahead and stop, and let's go ahead and play again. And let's just grab the first 2 coins, and then hit Alt-Tab to get back to our level database, and hit refresh. Refresh. Did it not work? There should be some trues in here. Let's escape. Sometimes this thing's a little bit funky. Let me try to save and play again. Let's grab the first 2. It should have saved that. Refresh. It's not really saving it, is it? Oh, you know why? I think I know why. I think I forgot to do something. So let's stop that. Let's go back to our coins. I think when I saved... no, that's not true. Okay. Let's rebuild this. It may just be being a bit of a nuisance. It could be right, and it's just not showing us the right data. I've found it to be a little bit funky sometimes. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's take a look at our database. Let's see what it says. Okay, so it's set up coin 2 and, well, coin 1 and coin 2. Coin 1 is being underscored with a 2. But you see it's only saving on when you pick them up, which is not super great, actually. That isn't necessarily what I want. So, right. It's fine. It'll work. It's not necessarily the exact thing that I was hoping for. I really kind of wanted these to save in as true as well, but when they load, it would work. Let's just put it that way for right now. Let me... Okay. So it is saving those ones that you pick up out to the database. The thing is, though, that it's still not persistent. If I go over here and grab these two and go back over here, they come back again. Okay? So we are saving out to the database, but it's not working quite the way we had hoped it would. So again, if we go back to the database and we refresh this, this is still the same. We've refreshed this, and you see we've picked up those 4 coins. We haven't picked up the 5th one. It's still set to true. It's still set to its default value. So, okay. But pretty good. We've got it saved in the database. Now we need to make it affect the world. So how do we do that? Let's go to the coin. How far am I into this video? Good Lord, we're 2 hours in. Holy crap on a cracker. And I haven't got the coin finished yet. Actually, we're not far from being sort of done. Believe it or not. I'm going to throw a new event in for the coin. Event on load data finish. We're going to throw this event in. Actually, hold off just a second there. Let me just check something. I want to... Yeah. Yeah, okay. Before we do that, I want to head back to the third-person game mode. This guy right here. And what I want to do... Oh, that's a function. Okay, yeah, we're good. Sorry, I almost got lost in what I was doing there for a second, but we're fine. Okay, there's... In order to get this to actually work right, we want to load the database when we load the level, right? So here I am in the third-person game mode. Remember, this gets reloaded every time you change a level, so that's a good spot for it. I'm going to throw an event in here, begin play. So when the level loads, I'm going to drop in a sequence. And we're going to load 2 things. We're going to load the level that we're on, and we're also going to load the character database. So we're going to come out here, and I'm going to say get level database. Nope, I did the same thing. I do that every time. Get level database. We want the interface call, not the... No, I do not want the interface call. What the effing hell? We want the function call. get level database. There you go. It's actually in this function. That's why it's being weird. It's still being weird. This is the game mode. All right. So we'll drop a get level database. We actually don't need this level name anymore. Let me, this is in third person game mode, which is actually in here. We don't need this level name. This is in the interface. I'm going to drop this input, actually. Compile and save. We shouldn't need it. And it's just making things confusing. So, third person game mode is here. Yes, okay. Now we're good. All right, we'll get the level database. That's, remember, going to be the current level that we're in. And then I'm going to say, out here, I'm going to say load all data from the database. That's going to load the database. Okay, so the second thing I want to do is get character database. And again, we'll use the same target. Just cross that out here a little bit. And same thing for that. Load all data. Boom. Compile, save. Okay. Now, is that going to work? Not quite. Not quite. So now we need to go back to coin, and we're going to say, we'll drop in here, and we'll say, we'll give it an event, database, on load data finish. From here, we don't want this to fire off with every database, just the one. So we're going to say get level database. Let's try it again. Get level database, the message. Boom. And I'm going to say get game mode for a target. Just throw that over there somewhere. Okay, like such. From here, I'm going to go equals for an object. And we're going to equal the database that we've loaded, the way we're interested in, which is the level database. We want to make sure we're working with the level database. Then I'm going to hold down the B key and hit a branch. Throw in our condition. And over here, we're going to say on true. Drop out over here. I'm going to throw in another branch. And this one is going to say available. Or we're just actually, sorry, we can just say get available. And that's that. So what's happening here? Over here in third-person game mode, we've told it to load all data from the database, right? So it's going to load everything out of that database. It's going to drop this stuff into coin, and it's going to set this available thing. Now, we need to determine if available is set to false. What do we want to do? We want to destroy the actor. Destroy actor. And there it is. And the target's going to be, of course, self. And that's all we need to do. Just should just make sure that the coin is no longer there because you've already picked it up at some point, right? I think that should work. So let's go ahead and go back to level 1 and play. Look at that. The coins that we picked up are gone. Going to level 2, the coins that we picked up are gone. If we pick up another coin, boom, drop back into level 1. The coins are still gone. We go back into level 2. The coins are still gone. Beautiful. This even works if I hit exit, play the game. They're still gone. I think they're still gone. What did we have before? Those are gone. Do we have 3 left? Tell you what, let's grab 1. So there's 2 left for sure. Let's exit the game. Play. There's 2 left. Yes, it's working right. And there you go, guys. That's the coins completely done. We're totally finished with that. So did you guys get all that? I hope that was, I know that was a lot of programming, a lot of nodes, but hopefully it's kind of making sense. You need to load your databases when you start up the game so that everything is done. But all you're loading, remember, is your variables. Just because you load a variable called available doesn't mean it's going to do anything. You have to make sure that you go into the coin thing, and when you finish loading the database here, that you actually act on that variable. So what we did was we made sure that the level database is what we're loading. We're not interested in the character database at this point. If they're equal to that, we go over here and we look at the available thing, which was loaded because we're doing onload data finish. If it's false, we want to get rid of that coin because we've already picked it up at some point. I'll tell you guys, if you guys need to reset the database, like I come in here and I've picked up all my coins and there's nothing left to do, you can go into the Blueprint database and just hit the drop and rebuild database, and this will clear it out. And then you can go in here, and when I hit play, all my coins will be back. So, you know, if you need to reset the database for whatever reason, that's how you do it. Okay, very nice. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to comment, like, and subscribe. All these things really help me out. I'd like to say a big thanks to all my patrons whose names are appearing on the screen right now. Thanks a lot, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more great content, consider joining my list of patrons. There's a link on the screen in the bottom left corner. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.